We have another article that interesting article that we want to talk about. It's about how conspiracy theories spread from the darkest corners of the internet. So it details like several conspiracy theories that come from like several right wing websites, and how they tend to they tend to infiltrate like mainstream. So if there are several like outlandish conspiracy theories that are out, and so for some reason they just kind of spread like wildfire through the internet, social media, that kind of thing, and people tend to believe them, and it just leads to a lot of fake news. To borrow a quote from Donald Trump, but yeah. So you guys read the article. What do you guys think about it?
Man. The thing that gets me is like, I just came to the acceptance that we have a large population of Americans that are dumb, or that lack to be. I'll be
critical
nice.
thinking.
I'll be nice. They lack critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we said that before.
Because y'all is gonna have carnival barkers, right? Charlatans like
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. They talk about the government is turning frogs gay. Oh, by the way,
wait a minute. What was that?
So we have a bunch of rainbow frogs.
Yeah, he said
jumping around.
He said the government is putting stuff in water that's turning the frog gay. Oh, and by the way, man, if you get a chance, just on YouTube, Alex Jones frogs gay. Somebody did a folk song on that, like miming everything he says in a folk song. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. But you're always gonna have guys like that. But the internet is the greatest thing to happen and the worst thing to happen, man. Because it spreads information so quickly, and you can reach so many people. Like crazy people like Alex Jones only used to reach people through like a newsletter. Like he would have to write a newsletter, print it out, spend money on printing out the newsletter.
On the street corner, pass it out, right?
Send it out or pass it out on the street corner. That's a lot of work.
You need more people.
But now all he has to do is just put up a video and publish it on YouTube, and he's got 3 million followers. And he's pushing stuff like the Sandy Hook and saying that the Sandy Hook parents are crisis actors. Can you imagine losing a 4 or 5-year-old to gun violence, and then having some charlatan on YouTube call you a crisis actor, and then have his followers harass you to the point that you have to move several times? So that's what we have, and I think like we need to start teaching logic and critical thinking in high school, because when I was in high school, they didn't offer those courses. I didn't take my first logic class and critical thinking class until I took some philosophy classes in college. Mm-hmm. But I think those types of courses need to be taught at the high school level. Need to be able to teach students how to diagram arguments, mm-hmm. how to realize fallacies. When they're occurring in an argument, what is a sound argument? Just basic reasoning skills that help people deal with the amount of information that comes at them daily from all these different sources. Is it any wonder why so many Americans believe that the right wing conspiracy theories about climate change? Because they get things and they say, "Oh, this scientist say this." But have you looked into that scientist? Have you looked into whether the paper was peer reviewed? Was it submitted to a science journal? Mm-hmm. Just things that will tell you that their claims are valid or not valid. So I think that's the best thing that we could do, man. Because there's always going to be charlatans and carnival barkers like Alex Jones.
Yeah. It's funny. and I know I was dying about them frogs being that is hilarious. But anyway, one of the things I discovered, I remember back in 2011, man, when I lived in Los Angeles, I remember I was laid off for a little while, and I remember I had 6 months off, right? Wait, Yo, why you dry snitching again, man? Yo, I'm gonna call you feds. Feds serve. No, but yeah, and I was laid off, right? And I had a lot of time on my hands. So, I would watch TV, read, and just catch up on shit. And for some reason, man, I came up with the thought and really said, yo, people are fucking crazy. People are silly. Like, people are stupid, really. That's what I said. And I realized the naivete that goes on out here. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I thought I was just bugging, just ranting and all that shit. But really, it was because of the rise, really, of social media. Mm-hmm. It started to run rampant right around between 2008 and 2011. That's when you saw people getting accounts and people were talking about, the Instagrams and Snap. And, I think even Snapchat may have came up. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I know definitely Facebook. YouTube and Facebook were there because I remember that's when I started seeing a lot of crazy shit on the internet on YouTube.
It started, right? Yeah. And I remember I was just sitting there like, yo, people really believe this shit. You started hearing people say, I get my news from social media. That's when it became my biggest issue. Like, wait a minute, yo, I would never read these timelines. I mean, something as simple as people dying, right? This person died. You're like, well, what the fuck? What do you mean they died? So, of course, I'm going to go ahead in my natural thinking pattern. I'm going to say, well, shit, let me Google this shit and make sure. And then you see, it was a social media hoax. And that's what you saw, man. And, you touched upon it, Rob. And we touched upon it, too, last season about critical thinking skills. And even not even critical thinking. It's all about just researching, validating, just being able to sit back and go and say, does that make sense? And I think because, unfortunately, people have become intellectually lazy, man. Nobody wants to do the work anymore. They don't want to verify and validate anymore. Everyone wants to just be fed information, be told what to think, and go. And of course, because of the social media rave, what are other people thinking? What are they saying? Mm-hmm. I'm going to follow that pattern and that thinking process. And you're seeing, the intellectual, laziness just kicking in and really being, having precedence in our society today, which is why, a couple years ago with, down in the DMV area, the dude who believed that Hillary Clinton had children, locked up in the pizza parlor, shows up, ready to, to go ape shit with some guns and realizing it was a social media hoax. It was some right-wing propaganda bullshit. So it really, I don't feel sorry at all for people because of the naivete and the growth of social media and people staking their beliefs and staking their thoughts and how they view things in social media and having such a heavy investment and involvement in it. I don't feel bad for people. They're fucking idiots, and you fall for what you fall for.
I'm just concerned because they vote and they influence people. You know what I'm saying? Here's a crazy thing. Do you know there are people flat earth is a thing? The flat earth movement is a thing?
Yeah. It is a thing.
They have hundreds of channels on YouTube dedicated to pushing the fact that the earth is flat, man.
But again,
B.O.B. believes in it.
With hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's 2018. We've known that the earth is round, man, for like 2,000 something years. Really?
No, remember, the space, going to the moon was fake. Everything was a hoax.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that hoax. But the difference at that time is that we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
So it was like you had to buy a video that has a conspiracy theory of that video. You had to get on a news thing with other crazy people. But now that information is everywhere.
People are lazy, bro. I'm telling you, people are intellectually lazy. What do you think, sir, man?
For me, yes, I agree with you that people are definitely intellectually lazy. But I'm also laying blame at the feet of the media for me because it used to be that you would have investigative journalists. You would actually have news people who would actually like research articles, whatever, research things and put out articles. You don't have that much of that anymore. What you have right now, especially on TV, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, what you have is basically the pardon the interruptionification of the news. So you'll have like a moderator, a person on the left, a person on the right. Mm-hmm. They go at it between each other, and then let's call it even. You on the left, you have your point of view. You on the right, you have your point of view. You, the viewer, you decide who to believe. It's not really about figuring out what the facts are.
Oh, I hate that.
Figuring out determining from an objective objective perspective what actually what it actually is. I mean, just the fact that you get to have discussions on climate change. It's not a fucking discussion.
It's not.
But you have these right wingers who will talk about 10,000 scientists who who signed some letter saying that climate change is wrong, meaning that I'll tell you what. Find me one single climatologist who disagrees in climate change. But instead they'll create the narrative. There's 10,000 scientists who don't believe in climate change. So you'll have some electrical engineers, some fucking mathematicians out somewhere wherever in Alabama or whatever, and some fucking I don't know, some whatever it is, some biologist. But you'll take their word instead of the fucking climatologists. So it's not even fit for discussion. But the media it acts like it's an actual discussion. They act like it's something worthy of discussion, which it's not. And that's why I think a lot of people, they get their news from other places besides your CNNs, your Fox News. They get it from YouTube, from more reputable places. So yeah, I definitely agree that people are not really researching, but people aren't also really getting good information. And I mean, when we were young, I mean, how would you research, whether climate? You go to the fucking encyclopedia or some shit like that.
Go to the library.
Go to the library.
Yeah. And then you had. Yeah. I would just want to add in real quick about what you say, which is great, is that the fact that news don't do news anymore. No. Especially on TV. They don't. Everything on TV that you look at from the three biggest news channels, they always base all their reporting, all their opinions, because that's all they do, really. Exactly. Right. They all base all their opinions on the written media, right? Like the newspapers are doing all the work, investigative work, journalism. And all they do is quote, the New York Times say, the Washington Post say, blah, blah, blah. I remember when they had shows like 2020, or all these news shows that went into depth about certain topics, and we all watched it as a country. But now, there's no such thing. Now, the right wing can listen to Fox News if they want to. Fox News definitely is fucking with the news articles. MSNBC. And most infuriating is CNN with this side says this side says that. But there's no reporting being done by these channels. And most people would rather watch something than read something. So
they'd rather be entertained. Right. It's not about being right. It's about who sounds better, who's have the catchphrases, who's more entertaining.
It's fucking nuts, man. And you're right. Well, they do have to shoulder some blame.
Well, I was also going to add in too. I mean, when you look at most of the news outlets, they're owned by major entertainment conglomerates, right? So so that's what it's all about too, right? It's about really getting the ratings, getting eyeballs, and they have to compete. And when you look at, you mentioned 2020, Rob, and when you said that, I'm like, well, it's funny. Like when you watch 2020 now, they're just talking about the murder investigation of the princess heiress who was killed.
I didn't even know it was still on. To be honest.
It's still on. It is, and that's what I'm telling. Dateline, that shit back in the day. You're right. Dateline 2020. Those programs offered investigative reporting, deep dives into different topics and different headlines. And had substance. Now it's about the reality TV game. Everybody's in the business, especially media. Is in the business of eyeballs. And as we mentioned, if you want to just be entertained, if you want to have mind-numbing lack of substance programming, turn on TV. That's all people turn it on for, man, is just to basically numb their minds from the problems of today, unfortunately. But news is really about entertainment. It's really battling, again, reality TV sells. Well, that's the hottest shit right now.
That's because, sorry to cut you off, man, but I want to make this comment that's directly tied to what you were saying, is that a long time ago, the news divisions of these studios and these corporations like ABC and so forth lost money. They didn't make any money, but they say that's a service that we're giving to the country. We're gonna have this division that makes money. That all our other divisions will make money, but this news,
it's about prestige and reputation.
Exactly. That's gone. Nobody cares about that anymore.
But also, I also want to point out that the country is also much more partisan than it used to be. So people don't really people will get all their news from one side or the other. They'll Like if you're right wing, you're gonna get most of your news from like Fox News. If you're left wing, you're gonna get most of your news from MSNBC. At least if you're older viewers, younger viewers, they tend more towards like your YouTube avenues. So you don't really get like and people don't really go to a place where they might get some more objective facts. They want to retreat into their foxhole and get something that's kind of going to validate their own opinion or their own hat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, wising up, smarting up.
Smarten up.
Smart.